conversations and being quite critical of that agency that had seen the best of times over 102 years and the worst of times. I'm now here 6.5 years, as crazy as that seems. And as I walk into this room, you can just feel the crackling of energy of the transportation projects that are going on at transportation. We'll see that, NJ Transit, Gateway. And by the way, I will vouch that Chris Calore is in DC. I spoke to him this morning after looking at Find My Phone app with Chris. Chris is going to the White House. Chris has been a great partner working with him. I remember when Chris was the Commissioner of Transportation, and I was on the Assembly Transportation and Assembly Budget Committee. As I'm listening to you just talk, Jim, I'm saying, man, where did the years go? And to me, back in those days, transportation was okay. Now, it's really exciting. I mean, there's some crazy, exciting things that are going on. Gateway, first of all, crazy. I'm not stealing your thunder, Steve. Gateway's great. We are going to serve as a partner doing the core and shell, and Steve Plate's going to be working for and with Gateway. Chris Calore couldn't be a better partner. Working closely with Transit, the Murphy administration, working very closely with both New York and New Jersey. But think about that, Port Authority, 6.5 years. New York and New Jersey are actually getting along. In 6.5 years with the commissioners, we haven't had a single dissenting vote from New York or New Jersey on a single issue. Never happened before in 102 years. And that's because we all came to this board and said, the past was the past. We have to do things differently. We have to work together. There is so much out there we have to get done. And you're going to see, not hear from me, because you don't want to hear from me. I want you to see with your own eyes what's happening in New Jersey and in New York. We're going to focus on New Jersey today. It is exciting. Who's been in Terminal A? Anybody been in Terminal A recently? What do we think of Terminal A?
Spectacular.
Cool.
Spectacular.
All right, cool. What's $3 billion will get you? Pretty cool. So we are now working a master plan to look at Terminal B and maybe Terminal C. We have engaged in the process. It is massive. What we're doing at the ports, by the way, there's some months we are actually #1 in the ports in the country, taking over that West Coast folks. We're doing really, really well. When you look at the North Access, you look at AirTrain, you look at Path 9 Car, right? You look at what happened in Bayonne, working with Gateway. There are such wide things, projects that we're doing. It's exciting. Time's moving pretty fast, but transportation has our attention. This is the time. Everyone working together, this is the moment we have to seize to get these big picture things done. So let me just start. We're going to have 2 videos, and I hope you're not bored by the videos. 2 videos. The first one is just near and dear to our heart. Yesterday I had to go to the bus terminal. On Sunday, we had an individual go to the bus terminal, get off the elevator, and then took his lighter and lit the American flag at the 9/11 memorial at the bus terminal that was put there 20 years ago. The American flag just went up in flames. Port Authority PD arrested the individual, processed him, and when he got out the other day, here's what he said: I'm going to come back and do it again. So I was asked by the Port Authority PD yesterday to go. We had this flag ceremony, and the men and women got up in a very solemn ceremony, and they brought a new American flag out. They had bagpipes, and they had a moment of silence, and we remembered the 84 of our colleagues that were lost in 2001. And we remembered 37 of the Port Authority police men and women who we lost in that day. And that's what that memorial is about. It has their names etched in. Their names etched in stone. On 9/11 this year, 22 years ago, we literally sat and we memorialized the passing of that horrific event. And one of the things we did was called a rose ceremony. And we went out in a plaza at World Trade, and we took a rose and we stuck it in the name of all of those individuals who have passed, our Port Authority brothers and sisters that we lost that day, and we lost in the '93 bombing. Now, I've been involved in government a long time. Port Authority is the coolest place where they do this remembering, this solemn remembering of the people who worked before us, have died before us, just doing their jobs. So when we have these transportation jobs, we don't just do it for this region, we do it for the people who came before us at the Port Authority. So the first video you're going to see, it's about a 5-minute video, and I hope it captures your attention, and I hope you remember it. It talks about the rebuild of the World Trade Center. It's a little time lapse. Steve Plate and his amazing crew have put it together, and you're going to see what they did in terms of that rebuild. And Steve Plate was asked by the leaders back in, was it 2005, Steve? He was recruited when there was no momentum on how to rebuild. He was fighting back and forth in New York and New Jersey. So they called Steve Plate and said, you got to get this thing done. And Steve got it done. And the video does a credit to the men and women who worked on this building, the men and women who died in this building, and the men and women who served in this building going forward. So if we can have that video first before we hit the second one, Michael.